Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the CASH, the Coalition for Adequate School Housing statewide monthly meeting. Appreciate you being here today with us this morning. My name is Alan Rising. I'm the current CASH chair. I am also the Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations for Long Beach Unified School District. So again, welcome everybody. I see a lot of folks are coming into our meeting. I really appreciate all of you being here today, so thank you. We also want to recognize those of us that are, maybe you could back up 1 second, Courtney, there you go. I want to recognize all of those with us today that are maybe first-time attendees. We always like to call those folks out, and we ask that you share who you are in the chat so we know that you're out there and we can recognize a lot of our first-time attendees, and we welcome you as we work together to kind of share the current and topical information of what's happening at our state level and what we bring in our industry partners to collaborate with us and talk about what's going on. I see Caitlin has just dropped into the chat the agenda. So the agenda is available for you to follow along with us as we go through this process. As a reminder to those of us that are attending today, you are muted as an attendee, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. We would love to hear your questions as you go through this process. We'll be monitoring for questions, but we ask you to use the chat feature. Put your question in the chat, make sure that you address it to everyone so that we can all see it, and we'll be monitoring and addressing those questions as much as we possibly can throughout this presentation to be able to answer those individual questions. So with that, as we get kicked off here, I want to take just a quick moment and remind everyone, if you don't already know, that we have a statewide school proposition that's on the ballot in November. It's Proposition 2, and it's a $10 billion state school bond that will be providing $8.5 billion to California K-12 education, which all of us are a part of that to really ensure that we can bring to our students and our community the very best school facilities that we possibly can have, the safest, the best community schools that we possibly have. But we do need help. We need all of our help. We need all of our voice and all of our support. So if you're a school district, we do implore you to work with your school board and your superintendents. We would love to get a resolution in support of Prop 2 and really kind of give us some individual details on how Prop 2 can be a benefit to your school district. So we do ask that that you pass an endorsement and a resolution from your individual school district. We would also like from you private party individuals, if you can provide letters of endorsement and support for Prop 2, those also help. So if we can get this coalition, all of us moving forward, we can continue to build support at the state level and really get the positive message out about how important it is for us to pass Prop 2 and to continue with the great work of our school facilities program. So in support of that, I also want to take just a moment and thank our top contributors to the Measure 2 campaign. So we have our Triple Diamond members, which are DLR Group, HMC Architects, and PBK Architects. We also have construction managers, Balfour Beatty Construction, as well as Erickson Hall Construction. We have, for our consultant planners, we have Murdoch, Walrath, and Holmes, as well as school facilities consultants. If we can go to the next page, at our double diamond level, we have the construction managers, Neff Construction. At single diamond, we have Ledesma Meyer Construction Company, as well as Tilden Coyle. And at our platinum level, we have the Architects LPA Design Studio. So I wanted to take a minute and really thank all of those folks for their continued support of the work that we do in our community, both in the work that they do, but also in their support and contributions to the Yes on Measure 2 campaign. So thank you all for that. And we do, again, just one more plug for we need support from all of us to make sure that the good message about what Prop 2 can do for your community is shared with our legislative branch and our governor. So with that, I want to move to the next. Just as a quick reminder, we have a web shop just tomorrow. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about planning for shade structures and green campuses. A lot of this is associated with sustainability movement that's happening, a lot of the state's goals towards climate sustainability and energy reduction, as well as our reaction to some of the extreme weather events that we're now all being subjected to across our state, and what is happening and what a lot of districts are doing to plan for and provide accessory features, structures to students and communities to help combat some of these climate-related issues that we're dealing with. So that's tomorrow, 10 o'clock to 12. You can still sign up for that. There's information on the CASH website on how you can sign up for that. There was even some additional emails that were sent out today. If you haven't seen them, they're there, so you can sign up and register for that event. So if we can go to the next, we also, right around the corner, just a few short weeks away, we have our CASH Fall Conference at the Hyatt Regency Newport Beach. It'll be October the 9th, 10th, and 11th. We have a wonderful program already established for that. On the 9th, we'll be doing a pre-conference workshop where we will be hosting conversations with professionals in our industry on their experiences and leadership and development and how they've been able to make an impact in our community, in our industry. It'll be a great early morning event, and then we'll be kicking it off on the 10th with our full conference Thursday and Friday. So really looking forward to seeing everybody there. If you have not already registered, shame on you, but there's still opportunity. Please register. Go to the CASH website and find information about registering and hotel room availability. All of that information exists on our CASH website under the fall conference. So take a look there, and we'd love to see everybody there in just a few short weeks in October. So now we're ready to move into our kind of state agency updates. And so we don't, unfortunately, today have anyone from California Department of Education. So we'll jump over that. If they do join us, we'll bring them on. But we'll move to our update from the Division of State Architect. And I see we have Kurt Kupnick from DSA is here today to talk to us about all the great work and partnership that's happening in DSA. So Kurt, thank you for being here this morning, and I'll turn it over to you. Oh, you're muted, Kurt.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I apologize if I seem a little off today. I had a cortisone shot this morning, and I had no idea that one of the side effects can be a raging headache. So I am blessed with a raging headache right now. I'll work through this. Sharing my screen here. Hold on, please. And it's not sharing. Hey, Courtney, is there a secret here to sharing in Zoom?
I have given you access to share, but let me go ahead. Maybe it's here, one moment. Okay, maybe go ahead and try now.
It's trying to get me to upload a file.
Sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties as we begin to manage our way through this. I'm sure we'll find a resolution soon.
Okay, I think I've done everything on my end to share. Let me. If we wanted to advance in the agenda, and Kurt, if you wanted to email me the PowerPoint, then we could do it that way.
Okay. Apologize.
No problem.
All right.
So perhaps we call an audible if that's okay. And we'll defer to Rebecca to maybe jump right into the regulatory updates. And maybe not yet, but maybe we'll go ahead and jump to Rebecca, and we'll bring Rebecca up to talk a little bit about the regulatory updates, and we'll get it worked out with the DSA presentation, and then we'll jump back to Kurt if that's good. So why don't we just go to Rebecca and we'll let Rebecca take over from here.
Great. Thanks, Alan. Good to see everybody today. I'm going to give you an update on the school bond, Proposition 2, kind of where we are in the process, what we expect over the next few weeks. And then my colleagues Nancy and Ian will talk about the flurry of activity related to legislation, since we are in that final week for the governor to sign or veto bills. So lots happening there. It's an exciting time. On Prop 2 and the state school bond, voting starts in 13 days, 1-3. So on October 8th, voters can begin to return their ballots. They should start to receive them by August 7th at the latest. So it's really an exciting time. I'm personally looking forward to filling in that little bubble next to Proposition 2. I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to vote on anything else, but I'm really excited to have that opportunity. And just in time, I got my voter guide yesterday. So some of you may have already received this. So pleased and thrilled to open up the voter guide and see Proposition 2, the very first measure that's listed in our statewide voter guide. Really exciting to see that in print, in the flesh, in the hands. I did have to ask my husband for permission to bring this as a prop today, because he said, I want you to bring it back. I want to read about Prop 2. So it's a really exciting time. We have in that voter guide a number of pieces of information that voters will see as they start to evaluate the different propositions. So for Prop 2, we've got the title and summary. That's very similar to the ballot label, what voters see when they do fill in that bubble. We also have the analysis and fiscal effects as determined by the Legislative Analyst's Office. And on those two, I want to just pause and let folks know that we're really excited with some of the language that's in there, specifically referring to the repairs and upgrades that Proposition 2 will make, rather than referring to modernization, because that's a term that if you've done a local bond, you know your community probably doesn't quite know what you mean when you talk about modernization, but they understand repairs, they understand upgrades, they understand these things that they do to their own homes. So that messaging really resonates with folks. So we're excited to see that in those pieces that were drafted by the AG and the LAO. You're also going to see arguments in favor and arguments in opposition. So our signatories on the support arguments are the California Teachers Association, the California School Nurses Organization, the Community College League of California, and then in the rebuttal to the opposition, we've also added the California Retired Teachers Association and a representative from IBEW. So a really well-rounded group of messengers that can help us get that message about Prop 2 out to our voters. We do have opposition in the voter guide from Assemblymember Assaley and the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. And we are going to see messages in opposition as we move through this campaign, whether it be on social media, in your local papers, online, you will see those things. So it's really important that we build that really broad coalition of support. We're very excited to have the endorsement of both the California Democratic Party and the California Republican Party. So it's a truly bipartisan measure. Alan mentioned at the top about how important it is to pass a board resolution in support. If you have not done that yet, please do it. It's incredibly important. It seems like something that's ministerial. It is not. It is critical to being able to demonstrate to voters that there's widespread support for the measure and that school districts do believe that it will help them, their children, and their communities. And I know Courtney put a link in there that can help you with the template and the process for getting those board resolutions to us. So please do it. It's not too late. We absolutely will take them as long as they'll come in. We're happy to receive those. Organizations that are not school districts can also endorse the bond. So if you go to the Yes on 2 webpage, which is yesprop2ca.com, and I'll make sure that we will put that into the chat. And I'll also answer the question about where to send the Prop 2 resolution once I wrap up. I'll pop that into the chat as well. Really good question. So you can endorse Prop 2 if you're a company, if you are an elected official, if you are an individual. Go to the Yes on 2 website and you can endorse it there. We'd love to have your support. You can also sign up to receive email updates from the campaign, so you're just kept in the loop on what's happening. So please consider doing that. And then if you're one of the school districts that also has a local bond on the ballot, congratulations, you're in good company. A great time to be going out for a local bond. But we are also very interested in talking to you about coordination between the Yes on 2 folks and your local bond leaders, and messaging that can help both of those in your local community. Oh, thank you, Alan. He is on top of it. He's got that Yes on 2 website in the chat. So take a look at that. But please reach out to me. I'll add my email address in the chat as well. And if you are pursuing a local bond and you're interested in that coordination on messaging with the state. As I mentioned, media, Alan, did you want to add? I'm still going.
I actually did. I wanted to take a moment and really recognize the work that Rebecca and the entire team from Cash did in order to bring this forward, recognizing that work in that voter guide was largely from the work that Rebecca and her team did, and what a spectacular job they did to bring that forward and really put out there to our state what Prop 2 means for our state and how this can benefit what our community needs. So all the team, and it's not just Rebecca, but it's all the team in MWH and all the hard work. I want to really thank you for what you've done to bring this to us. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate that. Alan's going to shame us all into actually reading the voter guide. So, so Alan, one of the things that we're starting to see is media coverage on Prop 2. And I think some of it too, you may read and you may say, like, that doesn't seem quite right, or that's not what Prop 2 does. So misinformation, confusion about some things in there. We know we saw that with Prop 13 in 2020 with the conflation with tax impacts. So it's really important for all of us to be part of the message solution in getting accurate information out to our friends, our families, members of the community. Prop 2 is not a tax increase. You're using existing revenues in order to pay those principal and interest payments, but you're telling the legislature and the governor that that's a priority to use those dollars for school construction. When your loved ones say, well, I don't mind paying taxes, but I'd like to say where they go and for what programs and what purpose, that is exactly what a measure like Prop 2 is doing. Opponents are talking about things like, we don't want to use debt financing. The state is bad at prioritizing. The bond at the state level will create more demand for local bonds, which then will increase your taxes. So it's just really important that our community is engaged in telling the truth about Prop 2 and what it will do. Voters need to hear messages about things like Prop 2 will repair and upgrade schools. It will fix leaky roofs. It will mitigate hazardous materials like asbestos and lead, and those things that you just don't want in your classrooms. Job training and STEM facilities, all the really positive things about what Prop 2 will support. And those messages are going to go out to voters in a number of ways. You may start to see some of those come to you, which is always a really exciting moment for those of us who are nerds in this space. We're going to be doing direct mail, digital ads, social media, slate mailers, and possibly even some radio and television in very isolated and targeted markets. So keep your eye out for that. If you do get anything, save it, maybe bring it to our next Cash Fall Conference, show off your Prop 2 swag, but I like to collect those things. And then on social media in particular, there are a couple of things that we're asking folks to do. And one of them is to go and follow Prop 2 on social media. So we've got accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Go in and like Yes on 2 in all of those platforms. And then we are also asking you to get a little bit more engaged in that messaging with your loved ones, your friends, and your family. And you can do that by going to the social media toolkit on that Prop 2 website. So the link that Alan shared, there is a tab at the top that's Take Action. And one of those action items is the social media toolkit. And so what the campaign has done is put together materials that you can very easily share on those 3 different social media platforms, messages that are already crafted. They've got images. It's all done for you. And you can just pull those down and share those with your networks. So please do that early. Please do that often. Please do it if you can by October 8th so that you can squeak in those messages before your friends and family start to fill in the bubbles on their ballot. And then last, please come to the Cash Fall Conference. We'll be talking more about Prop 2 and AB 247, which got us to Prop 2, and all the details of what's new and what we'll see when Prop 2 passes. So we'll have lots of really robust conversations about that. And with that, I will pass it to my colleague Nancy. So thanks, everybody. It's an exciting time.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. Great update. I am going to be a little brief today. As Rebecca said, we are still awaiting final action from the governor on many pieces of legislation. There is one sad update that I have for you today. You may recall me talking about SB 937 by Senator Weiner, which Cash opposed. The governor signed that bill into law last Thursday. That is the bill that says that the collection of development impact fees can be delayed from issuance of building permit to issuance of certificate of occupancy, and that fees can be frozen at the amount that would have been due when the permit was pulled. There is some conflict with education code that is not addressed in the bill, so we're still figuring out some of these legalities. Cash, along with all of the other statewide education associations, all of the other local government associations in the state, were opposed to this bill, but the governor signed it as part of a housing package. So for more on this bill, please join us at the Cash Fall Conference. And that is all I have for today, so I'll pass it along to Ian.
Thank you, Nancy and Rebecca. Yeah, so we're waiting with bated breath to see what happens, what the fate is to a lot of the bills that we've been following and talking to you about. And of course, as my colleague said, we'll please come to the fall conference. So we're definitely going to dig deeper into all these bills, legislation, as well as regulatory issues. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is there's actually action taken on a bill of some consequence, and that is AB 2565 by McCarty, and that has to do with requirements for interior door locks on projects. Basically, it expands existing law, right? Already it's required on new construction projects and on modernization projects, but this bill will require it on what they call any alteration. So essentially, it lowers the bar for projects, or the requirement for projects to include interior locks. So we're gonna keep watching that bill. One piece that's important to understand is it's subject to appropriation, right? And that amendment was taken in the very last committee to address a lot of the concerns about the potential cost impact for schools. None of the education associations took a position on the bill, right, for or against, but we worked with stakeholders and particularly policy and fiscal committee staff to make sure that the potential cost impact to schools was discussed as the bill moved through the process. Certainly, that had some good effect in that this provision was included in the final and signed version of the bill. So definitely, we're continuing to deconstruct that bill. It'll be of some interest to a lot of our members, and we'll certainly talk much more about that bill at the fall conference. And I'm writing up a post right away. Alan, did you have something? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly just The reason that we're so concerned about the bill is not because at a core level that we're against having safe locks in our schools. It's the kind of some unfunded mandate and the limit, the cost threshold was so significantly low that most normal operational work that you do at your schools will trigger your requirement to upgrade these locks. And so maybe, Ian, you could mention that lower limit and how the really concern is almost anything we do could potentially trigger that limit.
That's exactly right, Alan, and I appreciate that nuance. Again, that's why I said, yeah, we don't. That's why we didn't oppose the bill or anything like that. We support. We've been involved, for 15 years in the discussions about all of these bills. But again, yeah, it was the potential unfunded mandate aspect of it, which is why we focus mostly on the cost impact of it, not on the policy. Folks are doing that already, right? In your new construction and modernization projects. But Alan is quite right. What it does is it lowers it down basically to alteration projects. I'm doing a little summary right now for folks, but what that does, around I think 20,000, something like that, very, very low. And the phrase Alan used is right. Effectively, everything will trigger it. Is we can get into where it is and so on, but it's very low. I think is the take back. So again, not having any problem with the policy of it, right? Everyone is similarly concerned about safety and so on, but it's to make sure that, again, it's not just something that's dropped on schools without any consideration for the fiscal aspect. That's why we're glad that is subject to appropriation. So it's in the law, it's in statute, but it is subject to appropriation. So in that way, it's not a full that lessens the blow in terms of a statewide mandate perspective. I'm not saying it's not. You see, we're kind of in that gray area, but definitely that helps us quite a bit since the bill is passed. So again, probably talked too much about it already, although I'm glad I got an opportunity just signed today, and we'll certainly be posting things about it and then have a more robust discussion at the fall conference during our ledge updates and so on. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I would put a red pin in this one. We'll be getting more information out and likely including it in our trainings and so on. So again, I would just say nothing new. Right, it's these things were, but it's an expansion and a somewhat significant expansion. So I would say that's kind of a 30,000 foot summary. So the other one, I'm going to kind of switch now to the maintenance network. There's been a lot of discussion, of course, about CalShape, what happened to CalShape, and so on. Again, I'll do a full deconstruction and at the fall conference. But what I'll say where we are now is that the governor has agreed to pay $200 million worth of these projects that were potentially going to be clawed back, right? Already submitted and in the CalShape process when the program was eliminated. So that's good news. And so I have been, folks been, that I've been working with and aware of said, hey, my projects are getting funded. So that's good news, right? But in terms of the larger fate of CalShape, it is, to our understanding, gone, right? So it's kind of a middle ground, I would say. No one, we don't think, is going to get hurt too badly, because there was in the middle of this discussion, there was couple $100 million plus worth of projects that might have gotten clawed back. So while this is not great news in the sense of the CalShape is kind of is on its way out or gone, at least the most folks in the middle who could have potentially got their projects clawed back did not and are getting them funded. So there'll be more probably in a couple of weeks at the fall conference, continuing to follow this issue. I will say issue probably not going to go away. CalShape aside, the coalition to restore CalShape, pretty powerful. They're the ones who we all participated in advocating for the program, and so that's not going to go away. There's still a lot of interest in schools being able to address their HVAC and ventilation issues. Of course, and on the Proposition 2 theme, a lot of that can be done under Proposition 2, and we're letting folks know about that. We care about CalShape, but we care about a lot of funding sources, which it takes to address the HVAC and ventilation issues, including federal funding, which we know that we follow as well. So another one to stick a red pin in, I think, and there'll be more at the fall conference. I'll conclude my comments by again backing up Alan in highlighting the workshop tomorrow that Tom Duffy has put together regarding shade structures and all on. It's going to be a pretty good workshop, I think, a more broad discussion, not only about shade structures, but about extreme heat in general, management, a lot of different aspects of this kind of, both trees and buildings and different approaches to it. So we know it's a pretty significant issue. I'm going to be presenting as part of it, and anyone interested in those issues, I highly recommend if you have some time to log on to that one tomorrow. Should be a good one. And the last one, I'll just announce that the Cache Maintenance Network and the Cache Environmental Committee are going to have an in-person meeting on the last SAB day, probably in late November or early December, as they usually combine those and continue to talk a lot about these issues that you hear me talk about, basically health and safety, maintenance, energy management, and campus safety, kind of not a new category, but certainly one that continues to grow. So with that, Alan, thank you very much, and I'll pass it back on to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. I appreciate the update. And there was at least one question that popped in here from Mr. Wallstrom. Yeah, so the question was about, is there going to be any discussions about the passing of, I think it's SB 937, which is the developer fee bill at the fall conference? And the short answer is yes. So we'll have a lot more information about the various different bills that passed and how we at least initially think that the application of these will happen.
That's right, Alan, for sure. And we have actually at the staff level already talked about that when that bill was signed. We were going to talk about it anyway, but obviously now a little more of a focus. We, like with these other issues, definitely know the level of interest on that one. So yeah, that will be included in the fall conference and other communications. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So another plug for the fall conference. We're setting up a lot of opportunities to talk about some of these recently signed bills that have a more significant impact to the operations, and clearly SB 937 has an impact as we begin to think about how do we manage need versus availability of that revenue if they've now disconnected those, right? And so and a lot of this will be early information, right? There's still a lot of this that will be in development. There's still potentially some of this that may end up in litigation.
Litigation and so on. And I know that our Cache Legal Committee, of course, is going to be really digging into that with some expertise and so on. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'll also say that there's still several bills, notable bills that are on the governor's desk. And so between now and the fall conference, we will get some answers about where those bills are going. And so we'll have more information. So a plug for the fall conference, be there, get the latest and most topical information about what's happening at the state level. And it'll be a great opportunity to really kind of look at how some of these impacts may be happening. So appreciate that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to continue on. Unfortunately, it looks like we lost Kurt from DSA, but we'll continue on with our quick update. I know we'll go to the next slide, please. We'll maybe jump into the School Energy Coalition. And I think we still have Nancy on board to talk to us a little bit about what's happening with energy. And there's at least one big notable bill sitting on the governor's desk that we're all anxiously waiting to find out what he's going to do with that.
Oh boy, are we, Alan. So Alan is referring to SB 1374 by Mr. Becker. This is the bill to restore self-consumption of solar power generated on site. The scope of this one, real quick, is multi-meter customers who generate power, which is typically solar in our state, in investor-owned utility territories who are interconnected after March of this year. So let's see. It is still pending action by the governor. You can still call or submit comments on the governor's website. And, the governor has until midnight, essentially Monday night, to take action. We've certainly been very active, along with a coalition that has grown to over 275 organizations in support of this bill. It was narrowed significantly. It now directly benefits schools and people who live in apartments. And for all of the other sectors that fit that description of multi-meter customers and investor-owned utilities, it directs the Public Utilities Commission to convene a hearing to really drill down on what is and isn't appropriately considered an export, because right now the PUC wants to consider any energy that moves from one meter to another on the same property an export, which doesn't make sense, defies the laws of physics. And the bill would direct them to say, look, set a distance. Let's really look at this and say what should be appropriately considered and billed as an export. So super important in terms of continuing to deploy clean technologies, meeting the state's clean energy goals, and for financial reasons for districts, because that power that we generate and have to sell to utilities and buy back what we use, it effectively means we're paying 4 times more for energy. So very, very big financial impacts for schools. If you haven't already weighed in, please do. And I will also be speaking about this one at the fall conference, letting you all know what the final action is, because this one is still pending, and talking about where we go from there. So that is all I have for the School Energy Coalition, Alan.
Oops, if I can get my camera to come on, it doesn't want to cooperate with me today. There it is. So thank you, Nancy, and all the folks that have been putting a lot of hard work into this this evolving area of energy and sustainability. And it's just it's a very active part of what we do. And thank you. And we all, I anxiously await to see what's going to happen with the net metering bill. So it'll be an interesting resolution there as we move forward. And again, another plug for the fall conference. We'll be talking about it. We'll have some certainty at the fall conference, so please be there. So we'll jump ahead to the next slide, which is our Cash Federal Network. And I know we have Ian Padilla here from the Cash team that maybe can give us a quick update on the work that's happening at the fall or the federal level. So Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. As I reported, one of the most the best things I would think the federal network has done is we met directly with representatives from the Department of Treasury. That's very important because the Inflation Relief Act, the IRA, really it's a tax program. It's run through that agency. So in addition to getting more of the details, we know that's continues to be evolving. More and more there, but as much as anything, we want to establish that relationship and ideally help to shape some of the policy as it gets implemented. So and as part of that, folks from the Cash Federal Network are going to be traveling, I believe, in the second week of November, right after the election, to touch bases on these issues, as well as meet with other agencies, and as we always do, look for other opportunities for a lot of these issues. A lot of them having to do, as Alan said, and we've been focused on with the issue of energy and sustainability, air quality, a lot of the issues that you hear us talk about all the time and that you're dealing with. So basically continuing to focus on that piece and really see make sure that is accessible, because it's difficult to do with the information kind of slowly dripping out. But we really think that the focus, long-term sustained focus on this will work. We've seen that happen and success with some of the other accomplishment QZABs and other pieces, and continuing to have a federal presence for school facilities, I would say, it's continue to I think pay benefits, and again, we'll be going back there in November. So thanks.
Great. Thank you, Ian, and all the team from the Cash Federal Network. This is an evolving area. I know, the monies, the energy monies that are available, to help support our energy goals are an interesting program that we continue to wade our way through to see how we can leverage those IRA dollars to help facilitate a lot of the work that we're trying to do in California. So I appreciate all the work you're doing, Ian, and the team from the Cash Federal Network. So thank you. So moving on, quick update. The annual conference, we've been talking a lot about the fall conference that's coming just next month, but right on its heels in February, the end of February, is the 46th annual conference in Palm Springs this year. So we'll be out in February. It's a pleasant time of year to be out in Palm Springs, and we'll be enjoying that hospitality out in Palm Springs. We're hoping that everyone will be there to help to be a part of that annual conference. We have recently solidified our keynote speaker, and so we're really excited to let you know that Dr. Rick Rigsby will be our keynote speaker. If you have not looked up Dr. Rick Rigsby on YouTube, it's an enjoyable experience. So he's a very engaging, humorous, but also very thought-provoking speaker, and we're really excited to have him there to talk to us about schools and specifically the work that we do to help further the education of our students up and down our state. So we're super excited about Dr. Rick Rigsby being our keynote speaker for the fall conference. We're also in the process of finalizing our golf tournament. So those of us, not myself included, but those of you that are golfers, more information will be coming out on that. It will be held on Sunday, the 23rd, so just ahead of the conference. And that'll be a great opportunity to get out and network and socialize with other golfers from our industry. We're also looking at something unique this year. We're creating a networking event that Sunday night on the 23rd for maybe some of us that are not golfers to still get together and network with others in our industry following that golf tournament. So we're working on putting together that networking event. And again, registration and hotel links will be sent in the next couple of weeks, early October. That information will begin to be released on our Cash website. So please keep that bookmarked so that you can go back to that. Look closely for that, because as we know, hotels sell out quickly. So we definitely want to get those reservations made as quickly as possible for our Palm Springs conference. So it'll be a wonderful time, February the 24th, 5th, and 6th in Palm Springs, and we hope to see everybody there for that conference. So with that, we'll jump. Unfortunately, it looks like we didn't really get an update today with a lot of our state agents, but so our meeting today will be somewhat abbreviated. But I did want to talk a little bit about opportunities as Cash membership. So we have the job exchange. We also have our People's Choice, which is an opportunity for you to post jobs if you're recruiting and looking for individuals in our industry, or if you yourself are looking for an opportunity in our industry. You can look there to look for opportunities that exist in other member districts. Also, if you have an RFQ, an RFP that you're putting out on the streets and you really want to get a broader exposure of those RFPs, please take advantage of this. As a member, you have access to this resource to be able to get your message or your recruitment or your RFP to a wider audience. So take a look there and take advantage of that opportunity. We can jump into the next. As we come to a close, just reminding that the next Cash Day will be held in person and virtually. Highly recommend that you make the trip up to Sacramento and attend in person. It's a really good opportunity to engage with like-minded individuals in our industry, to network with folks in parts of our industry that are here to support us and provide services for us. And it's also a great opportunity to take the time to go meet your state legislators and really begin, if you don't already have one, to open a conversation and open a relationship with your state vendors or your state representatives, I'm sorry. But it'll be held in person and virtually for those of us that can't make the trip up to Sacramento. It'll be at the Capitol Events Center in Sacramento on Wednesday, the 23rd of October from 11 until 12:15. So look forward to seeing everybody up there at that, because really getting back to in-person, that engagement, that personal contact with not only our state legislators, but others in our industry is so, so important. So I look forward to seeing you all up there. So with that, I think we've reached the end of our presentation today, somewhat abbreviated, but important as well, with all of the updates what's happening in our up in Sacramento. But I do appreciate everybody being here today, taking time out of your day to see what's happening with Cash and the work that we're doing. Again, I want to take just a moment and say, please work with your school board and your superintendent and your leadership. We can really use those resolutions, school board resolutions, and even private industry support letters that really help move the message and move the pendulum forward to really explain to our community and our leaders that this is important for our schools. So look forward to all of those resolutions, and we look forward to, I think it was 13 days from today is when voting will start. So we look forward to a successful passage of Measure 2 and moving our school facilities program forward. Thank you all for being here today. Be safe, be kind to others, and we look forward to the next opportunity. Thank you.